What does the not self teach us? Overall, it teaches you when you are out of alignment. When you pay attention to your not self, what does it lead to? It leads to breakthroughs.
Welcome to Reinventing the Arena, the podcast that guides you through the powerful journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. We dive deep into the transformative power of doing the inner work because the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. When you align with your authentic self, you naturally attract the relationships and experiences meant for you. I'm your host, Molly Conley, a coach who's passionate about helping you uncover who you truly are using human design, NLP, and self-empowerment tools. Here we explore the art of aligning with your authentic self, embodying your highest potential, and rising above old patterns to create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Whether you're seeking deeper fulfillment in love or your personal journey, this space is designed to inspire your evolution. Together, we'll explore self-discovery, share transformational stories, and uncover the energetic shifts needed to create the love and life you truly desire. This isn't just about change. It's about fully stepping into who you were meant to be. So lady, align, embody, and rise. Welcome to your journey of self-transformation. Welcome to Reinventing the Arena.
Why, hello there, lady. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Molly Conley. So today, what I want to talk about is about breaking patterns. And we can only break patterns when we have the awareness that we are in patterns. And we have been talking about human design and energetics, as well as just specifically your energy type for the last few episodes. And if you are curious how this is all going to tie together, because you've been here a while, you've been listening to the podcast episode from before I was even integrating human design into my coaching, let alone the podcast, you know that in past episodes, I talked about things called self-sabotaging behaviors. And these are things that have kept you stuck on an emotional roller coaster. And that might be inconsistent stability in relationships, things that maybe for yourself feel really up and down, not just only affecting your current relationship or past relationships, but maybe even affecting how you see yourself, how you show up in the world, as well as maybe how you have effects in your career and maybe even family relationship dynamics. So if you want to really focus on self-sabotaging behaviors, I highly recommend going back to a few podcasts. I think they were in the 50s. They were called Dating Patterns number 1 and Dating Patterns number 2, because it was such a long series, I had to break them up. So with clients, what I notice is that sometimes they're having a hard time finding these patterns. No matter how long or how often we talk about self-sabotaging behaviors, it's hard to pick them up unless you're making space to reflect back and say, oh, I realize I was doing A, B, and C, which caused Z to happen. But it's also really fun to start catching yourself in the moment for those habits, but that does take a lot of time and practice, right? So is there a way to do this a little bit easier? Is there a way to catch yourself in these patterns, in these habits and behaviors in a way to make you have a greater sense of awareness and get you maybe back into alignment? This is where human design comes in. This is so key. Today, I'm going to talk about the emotions to be aware of when you are in these patterns and how that will get you back into alignment. And this is called your not self theme. Now, if you have not pulled your human design chart yet, please do so. You can go to my website at reinventingthearena.com/human design chart. There you're going to get your free chart, and you can even download it so you can keep it for yourself. You're going to see your energy type, your strategy, your authority, your profile type, your not self, and your signature, as well as your incarnation cross. And from there, you're going to receive a series of emails. You're going to learn more about your energy type, your strategy, your authority. You're going to actually learn about your energy centers a little bit, as well as how to start experimenting and living your design. So there's so much more when you get your chart, but I want to make sure that you get the high level information so you can come right back here to the podcast and listen in and say, oh, that's part of my chart. Now I understand, or now I can go test it in a different way. So what I love about the not self theme, it is different for every single energy type. And it is one of those moments where you're like, oh, I did do that. Oh, I've been there before. Oh, I can feel that. And even though I'm going to bring up emotions that we all have, these are very specific for each energy type, and they will know that this is how they feel. So one of my favorite things before we really get started is a client story. When I was doing a human design reading last winter, this woman, she's also a generator, and she couldn't believe that other people didn't have that same sort of emotion that would completely overtake their body when something wasn't going their way, or they were trying to force something to happen. And it's very fascinating to hear this in a one-on-one setting. So know that when I say, hey, the generators are this, manifestors are that, reflectors are this, we all have these emotions, but not to the height of this not self theme. This one you feel all the time when you are not in alignment. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off with saying this might be a two-part series, because I really also want to get into how to shift out of your not self theme, which is more aligned with your strategy and your authority. So that will probably be a second podcast that goes along with this one. But we're also going to talk about your signature. So there's the not self and the signature of your energy type. Okay, so what does the not self teach us before we get into what they even are for each energy type? Overall, it teaches you when you are out of alignment. It's going to show up in ways that even can, like I said earlier, going to show up in your physical body. It's going to feel like energy is stuck, depending on your energy type. It's also going to feel abrasive. And a lot of this comes from conditioning too. So you might have been told to always be nice and to be a people pleaser. And you can feel inside of you how much it hurts when you say yes to something when you really want to say no. Or when you are saying to yourself, I should speak up about this because it's bothering me and it's bothering my family, or it's bothering me and my significant other, or I can tell that my coworker's uncomfortable with doing this, or we know that there's a different way to do this, but I don't say anything. And you can feel that uncomfortable pit in your stomach, or you feel as if your throat is getting tightened up. This is all part of conditioning that overlaps into showing up as your not self. So, when you pay attention to your not self, what does it lead to? It leads to breakthroughs. So if your non-self helps you find breakthroughs, what is it currently doing though in your life? It's blocking you. It's keeping you stuck. So this means less abundance, more friction. It's causing, for some energy types, it's going to cause exhaustion. It's going to feel as if you're burning out. You might feel overwhelmed. You're also not going to feel connected to yourself. And that also means you're not going to be feeling as connected to others as you could because you're not as present with yourself. Okay, so let's get into the 5 different energy types and they're not self theme. The first we're going to start with is generator. And the reason why I'm going to start with them is because it's really easy for me to share as it's part of my experience, number 1. And number 2, they make up majority of the community and the people that live in the world. So Manifesting generators, also be paying attention because you are going to be taking your not self theme from a generator as well as the not self theme from a manifester. So super fun for you. I know, but it's a dynamic that you get to play with. So for generators, our not self theme is frustration. Holy cow. I want to just, holy shit, really, because you can feel frustrated with anything and it just builds upon it builds and it builds. Like it's so compounding of a feeling of being stuck, that nothing is working out in your favor. I'm frustrated with the feelings in my body, and my body feels sluggish. This, for generators, you need to pay attention. You really can't just sit with your emotion. You have to feel it in your body, and you will know, because generators, we are the creators of the world. We are supposed to create from a place of joy, things that make us feel great, which we'll get into that signature theme, which will make even more sense. But creating allows us to move energy out and move, stuck energy out. This is also why, like, if you are a person that really loves to work out and you're a generator, it's releasing stress. It's also relieving your body of that stuck feeling. It can, but it also is part of the conditioning of being forced to do things because people told you so. This forcing can also make you feel like you have to force things to happen. Remember what I said about manifestors earlier, that they are the just do it energy? You are thinking, because you have so much energy, that you can work day in, day out on something, that you can just force it to happen. And that's going to keep you in a stuck state. And your energy is going to become frustrated because it's not really hitting anything towards your signature or your self theme. So this also means, like, you might be forcing yourself to say yes to every opportunity because you don't know which one is going to really move the needle, or you're deciding to say yes to every single date or every single social opportunity because you don't know, maybe that's where you're going to meet someone, or maybe this is where parts of your life are just going to take off. You don't know. Whatever you're looking for in life, you're just saying yes to a bunch of it, hoping something's going to stick. That's another way forcing can come. So when you notice you're in the frustration, this is when you're out of alignment. Is it how people are treating you? Is it the environment that you're in? Are you noticing that you're people pleasing a lot? Are you saying yes to things that you don't want to say yes to? Are you in a job that you no longer find fulfilling? What is it? You can start looking at where you are and write those things down, because noticing when you're out of alignment is going to help you get into alignment faster. So let's go then to the manifestor. Oh yeah, this is great. This is wonderful. The manifestor is anger. And it's not an anger where you're angry for 5 minutes and it's gone. This is something that steams and stems in you. You just sit there and you can be like, I'm trying not to be angry, but it's building and building and building. And you might blow up and it might release, but it might not. So anger can come in ways of, like, we're still shutting down. We are told as a manifestor that don't do that, don't say this, that's not what we think you should be doing. Manifestors are supposed to inform and they're supposed to initiate things, and people telling them that's not possible or that's unrealistic really can piss them off, because this is the thing that they want to do. And they are not supposed to be told no, technically. Like, in relationships, this is really a fun dynamic, but I'm even thinking just like parent wise. So if you are a manifestor and your parents told you that it's ridiculous for you to think that you can do X, Y, and Z, or you can't do that because we said so, or all the things that people might tell you to keep you small, as a manifestor really pisses you off. And it should. I'm not a person that loves to say should, but it makes sense because you're a manifestor. You're supposed to do the things that bring curiosity and be like, oh, I'm going to initiate. I'm going to tell people this is what I'm going to do. That's spring season, right? From the last episode. And you want to go into summer, and the people that you tell it to are like, oh no, don't do that. That's going to do this. It's going to do this. I don't want you to do that. And especially if you've been told those things when you were younger, that anger is still there. And so these are things that you can pick up on and say, oh, when my parents told me, no, you can't travel abroad, you need to go to college. Like, let's just use that as a wonderful example. And you are fuming pissed. Makes sense. It makes complete sense. And as an adult, maybe it's 20 years later, are you still upset whenever your parents talk about travel, or that they tell you that you can't move or you can't do X, Y, and Z? And it comes back to this one thing. There's a lot of pent up anger from those things that needs to be worked through. And so this is how you can remove that, like go and reflect and look back at these in order to see where this anger is coming from, what you need to release, as well as how to get into alignment for yourself with your signature theme. Now, manifesting generators, I am so sorry for you. You get double dose, right? You have both anger and frustration. So this is going to weave in and out. It's going to be very difficult for you in the beginning, because you're gonna be like, is this frustration or is this anger? And you're going to have to sort it out for yourself. This is one other thing I should have mentioned earlier, but everyone's emotions come up differently for them. Okay. How I feel frustration, because the more I've sat with frustration, I can really identify it for myself. And each and every one of you are going to need to sit with yourself and say, okay, my not self theme is anger. What does anger look like for me? When has that been popping up? How does that feel in my body? Is it like tingling all over? Is it fire? Can I feel really, really hot? And start to notice those cues, because your body knows before your brain knows. Okay. You really need to pick up on these. And that way, as a manifesting generator, you're going to be able to then differentiate. Am I leaning more into my generator type right now, where I feel really frustrated? Okay. Am I leaning into my manifestor type right now, where I feel really, really angry? Being able to differentiate those emotions and the physical sensations is going to be key for you, as well as starting to notice which one is bigger than the other. Do you have more anger in you, or do you have more frustration? Because there's different ways that you can interplay and also engage in these emotions to transmute them for yourself and move through so you can get back into alignment with your signature theme. So the next energy type I want to get into is projectors. Now, remember, projectors are guides. They have wisdom to share to help people and help us in the world. And so when they're going through their not self theme, they're going to feel a lot of bitterness, because they don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. You're not taking their advice. And what ends up happening for a projector, they actually double down. They're going to be like, no, this is what you need to know. I'm trying to help you. Here's the information. Take it. I'm trying here, here, here. And the more that the other people aren't listening to them, they get bitter. But now I heard it another way from one of my mentor coaches in human design, and she said it as resentment. And I can feel that as a generator, and I can see as how that would be for a projector, because if you're giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and no one is listening or engaging or entertaining your idea, or even sitting with it, it starts to even seem like you're being rejected, or that you're completely invisible. So what's interesting too with projectors is that when they have this much resentment, it festers. I mean, the bitterness is, almost because of people pleasing. And when that happens, it's because projectors, like I said earlier, aren't being seen as the guides for who they are. They're not being validated. And when a projector feels seen, they start to feel loved, they start to feel cared for, and they do start to lean into their signature theme. I think the biggest takeaway, too, since projectors are guides, with this not self theme, one of the ways to work through this is to understand that if you're not seeing yourself, others aren't going to see you either. So, really working on how to deliver the message and knowing when and who needs to be listening to your message is very important. This will actually nip that bitterness and resentment in the butt because you're no longer people pleasing. You're like, I can see that Molly's not listening to my advice. Do I need to tell her for the 10th time that she could do something differently? Or should I just let her figure it out on her own? And when she comes to me for advice, inviting and having that invitation to share my guidance, that I give that information to her. Yeah, that might be better. Because you already see your energy being forced out of you and it's depleting you, which makes you resentful and bitter. Okay, now what about reflectors? I think it's so fascinating because reflectors have all open centers, okay? So they are very sensitive to everybody's energy. They might not be in larger groups of people, but when they are in smaller groups, it's kind of like a buffet station, okay? So they are tasting and trying everybody's energy, right? They're trying to see which ones they like, which ones they fit in with, which ones make them feel great, in alignment with their signature theme. And sometimes when they are tasting something from the buffet, they're like, ooh, ick, what is that? I can't believe this just happened. That's disappointment. They are disappointed that it didn't work out. They're disappointed that what they just experienced wasn't in a good feeling for them in their signature theme. So I haven't had the chance to coach a reflector yet. If you are one, like I said, reach out to me. I would love to chat with you. Even just getting a free reading for you would be wonderful, because there is so much to learn from reflectors and how they experience the world. So if you are a reflector, you might have come across a lot of disappointment in your life based off the conditioning within society, telling you to be in all these things and do all this extra stuff, where you are someone that wants to be more seclusive and, very intentional with your energy. And then just to really drive this home, because of your lack of defined centers as a projector, you're going to feel really overwhelmed, and you're going to be really overwhelmed with like what's going on in society in the current day. You're also going to feel like you are having to, like when you do have energy, you may feel like you are forcing people to understand the type of environment they need to be in, because you do pick up on the environment for yourself, and you're going to say, this one's a good environment and that one's not a great environment. So like projectors and reflectors are very much, they are similar. Projectors have systems and guides that help you through, but reflectors will tell you, yeah, we shouldn't buy this house. The energy here is not great. And if they need to tell you why and you want to listen, they'll tell you. But the reflectors are going to be able to read the energy of an environment, of a space, based off of what they've already experienced. And if there's a lot of disappointment that they are feeling, they know it's not a good place for them. Okay, now let's move into the self, the signature theme. What does this do for us? This gives us all the energy that we are craving. It's going to really help you feel as if you are just on a path in life, almost like a conveyor belt, not a conveyor belt. What are the things I'm thinking of? Like when you go to the airport and that is a conveyor belt. You just stand there and it takes you to the next location. That's how being in alignment is with your signature theme. You are feeling carried. You are feeling in flow. You are feeling as if things are magically aligning for you, and you're not having to do the one thing that is somewhat of a theme through all of this as a force. It's just coming at the pace that feels natural to you. It's coming in the season that you're in, and it's coming in a variety of ways, whether they're small, large, inconsistent, whatever. It's just flowing for you. So as a generator, if your not self theme is frustration, guess what your signature or self theme is? It is satisfaction. Oh my gosh, do you ever feel satisfied when something is complete, when something goes the direction you want, where you have booked this amazing vacation and you really had the rest or the experience that you were looking for? You feel a deep level of satisfaction. I almost like to even think of it as like thinking of your favorite meal, and you are taking and savoring every bite. That level of satisfaction. You're not rushing through. You're not hurrying up because you have to go do X, Y, and Z. You are present and you are feeling that satisfaction in what you have now accomplished or have produced or have created, whatever way you want to say it. I will note that other people are going to tell you that, yes, it's satisfaction, but it's supposed to be about lighting you up. That's not 100% true. Yes, generators, you do need to do things that make you feel excited and bring you joy, but that's not real life. Through experimenting, you do actually have a passion for doing things that are challenging. Because the more the more you start to experiment and say, okay, I'm in a neutral place. I'm not living in satisfaction right now. I'm not living in frustration, but I see a goal and I have it right here. And I know the type of satisfaction I'm going to have in a few months if I hit that goal. And you can feel the desire from your sacral of that goal, that satisfaction coming. You go for that goal because you can see, you can anticipate that satisfaction, right? You can do hard things, generators. You can do hard things for real. And manifesting generators, very similar. You can see the satisfaction in completing something, even though you are multi-purpose, multi-passionate people. You have put a project down, you whip around and you come back eventually to that project and you finish it. You're going to feel a level of satisfaction, especially because you might have conditioning around people telling you that you never finish jack shit. People are telling you you can't finish anything, whatever. And that level of satisfaction of finishing it is going to have even a deeper meaning, which that is where areas of your chart to look at are very interesting, as well as getting coaching on that is very important. Okay. Manifestor. Oh, okay. So your feeling of anger, your not self, is actually leaning and wanting to be in its signature theme, its self of peace. And here's how peace comes for you. This is also part of the seasonality, because when you feel peace and enjoyment in that, you are stepping into your full self. So much so that you have decided that those people that are telling you, no, you can't do this, aren't really in charge of your life. You actually give them a big fuck you. Just to be honest, that really does come through a lot with people that I've coached in that situation with manifestors. It's accepting yourself is going to bring you peace, as well as learning to step into the peace of you're not here to please everybody. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. Okay? You are here to initiate and inform what you're doing. And sometimes that puts people on the sidelines. And sometimes they're meant to come with you and sometimes they're not. And having the peace, knowing that that's okay within yourself is really good. And when we think about what I mentioned the last episode about the seasonality of a manifester, I even mentioned it earlier here with the not self theme of being like, okay, I'm going to inform people that I'm doing this and then being told, no, that's not going to work, of the spring and summer. If you move in through the summer and you just do it anyways, you actually are going to get more peace when you have handed it off, like in the fall, to other energy types. And then letting yourself sit in winter and be reflective is really going to hone in on your signature theme of peace. And allowing yourself that space is extremely important, okay? Just by doing this alone and working through your not self and your signature theme, you are going to develop this amazing inner trust in yourself. And even when you trust other people and you appreciate their feedback, their advice, their experience, it's still not about them. It's about you. Okay. And finding that peace within you, knowing I can trust and lean on myself, is huge. This is something obviously all of us want, but as a manifestor, this is part of how you engage in life, is developing this inner trust within yourself to say, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm also going to take the rest when I need it, because I know that my signature theme, my self theme, needs peace. So manifesting generators, what do you think of this? You've just heard about the frustration turning into satisfaction. I gave you a little bit more information about that as how you hop around with things. But with a manifestor energy and finding peace, this might also be for you where you have those 10 things going on and saying, I need rest, and honoring the fact that you can rest. I was just telling my friend who's a manifesting generator, like, you guys invented the hustle culture. We generators are just the ones that can sustain the energy a lot without burnout. Except that if it doesn't bring us joy, we do burn out. So the manifesting generators, you guys being able to multitask is hypothetically wonderful. But if you don't allow yourself the rest you need, you're never going to step into peace. And you're also not going to be aware of the next project you want to work on, or the next thing that you think you're doing, or the next place you're traveling, or the next person you want to see or talk to. You're never going to hit the level of satisfaction that you might want, that's going to also balance out your generator side if you're not paying attention to yourself. So in order to pay attention to yourself, notice the non-self themes of anger and frustration, like I mentioned earlier, figuring out which one's stronger for you, and then glancing and saying, when are you satisfied? When are you feeling at peace? What are the things? What are the people? What are the activities? What is bringing you these and what's not? It's very important for you to understand those two differences of what is giving and what is not. Okay, let's move on to the projector. Okay, so here's what I love about projectors. This was explained to me a few different ways, and don't have projector energy. Like I said, I'm a generator, but projectors, your signature theme, your self theme is success. And it's not what everyone thinks success is. Success for this is you having someone see you, feel you, understand you, and take your advice. That makes you feel successful because someone finally saw, heard you. That feels a sense of accomplishment, the real validation that you do know what you're doing, which is very true. You're a guide. You are here. You see it from above. You're like the owl perched on a tree. You can see all of us manifestors, generators, manifesting generators running around doing the things. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Here's a process. Do you want it? Awesome. Let me give it to you. Which actually is better when the manifestors and generators and manifesting generators like, I'm kind of lost. Where can I go to my guide? I need a guide. Oh, I'll go to a projector. And the projector's like, oh yeah, here's my experience. This is my expertise. Here it is on a platter for you to take and enjoy. But at the same time, there's a process to it. Try it out. Try it out for yourself. They're going to feel successful, which a lot of us are like, oh, what's success look like? No, it is also a feeling. It is that letting go and being like a little bit of hope. That's how I would envision it. I need to actually talk to my projector friend and say, what do you feel success feels like for you in your signature theme? But it would almost be like a weight lifted off your shoulders because the forcing is gone and it's the weight lifted off. And then it's this sense of love of being like, oh, people saw me. People needed me. I'm here. I feel validated. Even though you might need to also validate yourself constantly in ways that others don't. When other people do it, it just amplifies that feeling of self-validation. All right. And now reflectors. How fun. Okay. It's been disappointment is your not self theme. Your self theme is surprise. And this is something because of how you are as a reflector, it's going to come and go in waves because you're supposed to make decisions based off the lunar cycle, technically. So I would track those surprises. Wow, oh my goodness, I love being in this energy. Oh my gosh, I really loved this restaurant. I really loved being around this person. Oh my gosh, I really loved, which some people will probably not say, I really love snow. Oh my gosh, I really loved being out there and enjoying the coldness and the breeze and the little snowflake, whatever. Finding the moments of surprise and how it delights and tingles within you is very important to know. This allows you to say, this was for me and this was not for me. It also shows like that tracking of the lunar cycle. Maybe there's different times of the moon that make you have more surprise, where you're more in yourself than your not self theme. This is just something for you to track. It's also anticipating that things are going to be better than what you are currently experiencing, that there always will be some sort of surprise coming that'll be a good surprise, not a bad surprise, because that's going to lead to disappointment. So anticipating the good surprise coming is almost like a moment of feeling like hope right before the surprise happens. So keep that in mind. Like I said, if you're a reflector, I would love to know how that resonates for you and see if there's a way that you've been tracking this all along. And it doesn't always need to be something really big as a surprise. It could be a surprise text from a friend you haven't heard from in a while that's like, hey, I know I moved abroad and I'm back in town. Can we catch a drink here? Or can we go out for dinner? Or can we meet up in the next few days? Those sort of little surprises of just like I said, receiving a text message or I'm trying to think of another one. Maybe there's an author you really love and at your neighborhood bookstore, you find out that they're going to be there signing their recent book that was just published. Holy crap. You want to go? Go. Like that's a surprise of, oh, I couldn't believe that this was going to happen. And noticing these is very important to you, like I mentioned. So like I said, this is a longer podcast episode for sure. We have done the not self theme and the signature theme, which is also your self theme for your energy type. So let's run through that again. For a generator, it is not self is frustration. The signature is satisfaction. For a manifestor, not self is anger. And the signature, gosh, I'm going to just get these all fun and tongue-tied, is peace. Manifesting generator, you got both of them. Have fun with that. Experiment, experiment, experiment. Projector, your not self is bitterness or resentment, whichever one you really lean into. And your signature is success. Figure out what that feels like for you with like emotionally and physically versus logically what it looks like. Projectors, disappointment is your not self theme. And your signature theme is surprise. I almost said success is surprise. Make sure to track those based off the lunar cycle and what externally is really making you disappointed and surprised is really helpful for you. Okay, ladies, I knew that was a lot. This is a long podcast. So we will definitely have that part 2. If you haven't pulled your human design chart, please do so on my website at reinventingthearena.com/human design chart. You can also just go to my website and do that from there, because it's also listed on the homepage. You will get a download of your chart, as well as you'll also get on an email series where you learn about your energy type, strategy, authorities, undefined and defined centers are, and learning how to really step in and experiment with this. If you have done this, if you said, hey, I've pulled my chart, or I've dabbled in human design for a little while, and you want to have a reading and to learn more of the nuances of you and discover maybe some patterns that you're experiencing, book a human design reading with me. That is also available on my website. I don't think I've had the chance to even mention it, but do book a reading with me, and let's dig in to see what you want to learn about yourself. I also do this in my one-on-one coaching. So if you are or wanting to be a client, or someone that wants to really work through your self-transformation, I really enjoy doing this too with you. Like your first session, we go over your human design chart. And so we uncover some areas where you have shadow, where you have conditioning, things are just showing up a little bit differently than in a regular one-on-one, let's talk and figure it out type of session. And then we're going to be doing an energy assessment reading. This is called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. It's something that I received as part of my certification when I first was in coaching. And it's going to measure, it's like an attitudinal assessment. I can never usually say that. So it's how you're approaching life right now, and what energy level are you really resonating at? The energy levels are based on a 1 to 7 scale. There's thoughts, actions, and behaviors that align with each level. And most people are resonating at like a 2, which is pretty normal. Normally, there are just a very few handful people that have gone through this as being a 3. And I'm not just saying for myself, I'm saying throughout the entire community of the coaching school that I went through, which was called IPEC, which has over 10,000 students. I think in from what I remember in the last year or so, that was about 10,000 students have already gone through that. And utilize the energy assessment tool in a variety of ways, whether that's for your career, whether that's for your relationships. And I like to use it for self-transformation, because we can actually then use that tool in the beginning, do the coaching, do the assessment of looking where your energy's at right then and there during a coaching session, saying, okay, where are you feeling on the chart? As well as saying, well, how are we utilizing your human design to help you grow? And then at the end, we can take the assessment again and do a measurement of those, saying, I started here, and then 3 months or maybe even 6 months, if you want to do it longer, where am I now? And seeing how much coaching has impacted you and how much growth you've had. This is something that I like to do. At the same time, some people are just like, let's do the first 2 in the beginning and I don't need the measurement at the end. Understandable. But so if coaching is something you're interested in, and ladies, you are really looking for that self-transformation to get you, where you want to be in your love life, that is really where I hone in my skills. But this is really, like I mentioned, if you go back to my first podcast episode for this year, I talk about I am here for self-transformation, and that can be in a variety of areas of your life. So no matter what, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode, and stay tuned for the next one. I will chat with you again soon.
Thank you, lady, for joining me on this journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. Remember, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. And when you do the inner work, you naturally attract the love and life meant for you. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to rate and review the show. Your feedback not only helps more women discover the power of self-transformation, but also helps us grow this community. If you're ready to go deeper and align with a relationship and life you truly desire, I invite you to explore my coaching services. Together, we'll use human design, NLP techniques, and self-empowerment tools to help you break through old patterns and create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Visit reinventingthearena.com to learn more and take the next steps in your journey of self-discovery and alignment. Until next time, lady, keep aligning, keep embodying, and keep rising. Thanks for listening to Reinventing the Arena.